This presentation discusses how my copyright lesson and the Assure model were used to create the lesson. So for the A, for Analyze Learners, Mrs. Stewart's 7th grade reading class was used for the lesson. And to determine pre-existing knowledge and attitudes about copyright law, I would do a quick Mentimeter poll to get a feel for the entrance knowledge. The students can choose which content to use for their assignment if they want to use videos or music, so that gives them some choice, and it also gives them the ability to lend to their specific intelligence. If they want to use music because they're more musically inclined, then they can use music. If they are visual learners and they prefer to work with photographs or images, then they may choose to use those. For state standards and objectives, the ISTE standards that apply to this lesson are Standard 1, the students will demonstrate competency with technology, and Standard 2, the students will recognize legal and ethical uses of material. The AASL standards for learners would be 6A2, which is understanding the ethical use of information, technology, and media. The objectives for the lesson are that given access to word processing software and web-based resources, 7th grade students will construct a document including one copyrighted material and one public domain material and justify how they would meet fair use guidelines for the copyrighted material. To select strategies and resources, strategies would be teacher-centered strategies will be used for the lecture portion, reviewing copyright, and student-centered strategies will be used for the student's selection of materials and their creation of their document. Resources would be Google Docs, student Chromebooks, and a teacher-created handout. The materials would be a teacher-created lesson was made. Since it is specific to the lesson, there wasn't anything that I could modify or that already existed, so I created something new. For utilize resources, to preview resources, preview searches for public domain and copyrighted materials would be done. And I would ensure that the projector in Mrs. Stewart's classroom is functioning. Prepare the resources. I would create the handout for the assignment and ensure that each student has their Chromebook. This is a one-to-one district, so each student already has a Chromebook. So I would just need to make sure that each student has their Chromebook on the day that the lesson is being given. Prepare the environment. The lesson will take place in Mrs. Stewart's classroom with the students in their normal seats. And prepare the learners. To prepare the students, they will be given the presentation over copyright before they are given the assignment. They will also be given the entry poll to see, what they already know, what their prior knowledge is, and what are their attitudes about copyright and copyright law. And provide the learning. This will include the presentation and the student activity, where they will actually be searching for materials. Require learner participation. So the student activity, the students will individually select the materials of their choice and add them to the document. And then the document is then submitted through Google Classroom. So feedback would be using the rubric. The student work will be evaluated and returned with individualized comments. Evaluate and revise. The impact on student learning would be evaluated through the use of the rubric to determine what percentage of the students met the objective. And obviously, if there was not an acceptable percentage of the students meeting the objective, then the lesson would be revised to include more education on the topic. Strategies, revising or evaluating strategies, informal conversations with the students throughout the lesson would assess if the lecture actually did its job in teaching them. When the students go to do the activity, I would be moving around the room, having conversations with them. Do they understand what they're doing? Do they understand, what is copyrighted and what is public domain, and how to tell the difference? And so through informal conversations with the students, I would be able to determine whether or not my strategies for teaching were effective, and I would be able to revise those strategies accordingly.